Going into its final episode, One World, One People, the Falcon and the Winter Soldier had quite a bit to cover in a relatively brief amount of time. A lot happened in the finale, and it was easy to overlook some key moments. Here's the end of the Falcon and the Winter Soldier explained. One World, One People kicks off right where last week's episode Truth wrapped up, with Karli Morgenthau and the Flag Smashers executing their plan to prevent the GRC from voting on the Patch Act. Bucky Barnes and Sharon Carter arrive on the scene to put a stop to their scheme, and not to be left out, Sam Wilson arrives at the party in grand fashion.
I'm sorry, wait, who are you?
Captain America.
I thought Captain America was on the moon.
Adorned with his brand new Wakandan armor and Steve Rogers' iconic shield, Sam bursts on the scene as the new Captain America. After a fun skirmish with Batroc, he uses his fresh set of wings to take to the skies and rescue a group of hostages aboard a Flag Smashers hijacked helicopter. Sam's heroic display elicits cheers and applause from the onlookers that have gathered in the area, providing a stark contrast to the shocked public reaction to John Walker's last public appearance. Longtime comics fans probably saw this reveal coming. 2014's Captain America number 25 saw Sam officially take over as the new Captain America when Steve Rogers stepped down. What fans probably didn't see coming was just how comic book accurate the MCU version would actually be. Aside from a few small changes, Sam's new Captain America uniform is incredibly faithful to the comic book version. At long last, the Falcon and the Winter Soldier has revealed the identity of the Power Broker, though more than a few viewers suspected it was Sharon Carter all the while. Indeed, as One World, One People reveals, Sharon is apparently the unofficial leader of Madripoor. When Batroc confronts Sharon during the climax of the fight with the Flag Smashers, he threatens to reveal her true identity unless she pays up. So she kills him without hesitation. Not long after, Karli Morgenthau manages to hold Sam, who's lost his shield, at gunpoint. In response, Sharon puts several bullets into her back, ending Morgenthau's super serum-fueled destruction, not to mention permanently silencing yet another person who knows her true identity as the Power Broker, and exacting revenge on Karli for stealing the super soldier serum in the first place. Thanks to Sharon's role in stopping the Flag Smashers, the United States government grants her a full pardon during the finale's post-credit scene. Since no one, not even Sam or Bucky, knows of Sharon's villainous double life, it's only appropriate that no one bats an eye when she gleefully accepts the conditions of her return to the US and her duty as an agent of the government. But when Sharon leaves the courthouse, she speaks to someone on the phone, and what she says during the conversation implies that she took the deal only to buff up her business prospects, which will now include top-secret US weapons and technology prototypes. Even still, some fans aren't convinced that Sharon Carter really is the Power Broker, and they're not wrong to be suspicious. Skrulls, the race of shape-shifting aliens that were central to the plot of 2019's Captain Marvel, are becoming a bigger part of the MCU. After all, the very last episode of WandaVision revealed a secret Skrull, and we'll probably meet even more in the upcoming Secret Invasion Disney Plus series. With their leader gone, things couldn't get any worse for the Flag Smashers, right? Wrong, since the remaining members of the group don't last much longer. Once they're all rounded up and prepped for a trip to the Raft, the prison where Baron Zemo is currently being held, their armored escort goes up in a fiery explosion, seemingly out of nowhere. Moments later, it comes to light that Zemo orchestrated the Flag Smashers' death from the comfort of his prison cell, taking another step forward on his mission of ridding the world of super soldiers. However, as Karli says earlier in the episode, the movement has gotten big enough to survive even their deaths. And the fact that one of the guards escorting the captured Flag Smashers to prison reveals himself to be a secret sympathizer seems to prove her right. Even though all the superpowered members of the Flag Smashers are dead, the group could still return to the MCU in a future project. What form that might take, should it actually happen, of course, is anybody's guess. Even without the US government's direct endorsement, Sam Wilson clearly becomes Captain America in the eyes of many over the course of One World, One People. However, he's not afraid to criticize the nation he represents, even though he wears the red, white, and blue with pride. This is made explicitly clear when Sam verbally digs into the members of the GRC who still plan to move forward with the Patch Act, which would cause more displacement and division across the globe. In response to their decision, Sam gives an impassioned speech as cameras broadcast the confrontation to everyone in the world, making it clear what he stands for. He disagrees with labels such as terrorist for the Flag Smashers, and spreading fear and violence wasn't the core of their mission. They came into being as a result of the failures of organized governments filled with individuals who can't relate to the struggles of the common person. As Sam states, moving forward with the Patch Act would make the countries that comprise the GRC, which includes the United States, no better than the people these government representatives label as terrorists.
You control the banks. You can move borders.
You can knock down a forest with the email. You can feed 1 million people with a phone call.
To conclude his statement, Sam gives the policymakers something to consider before they come to a final verdict. After being held hostage and having their lives endangered, they've now experienced the kind of fear and lack of control that everyday people affected by their policies feel, so they should use their power to help them, instead of making the wrong choice and allowing more factions like the Flag Smashers to rise and push for change through violent means. In last week's Truth, John Walker completely loses his cool. His fight against Bucky and Sam, as well as his loss of the Captain America mantle, leaves him a broken man. Haunted by guilt over Lamar's death and armed with a makeshift shield, Walker sets out to stop Karli Morgenthau by any means necessary. Though he doesn't end up killing Morgenthau, he does help stop her and the Flag Smashers from killing captured members of the GRC, further proving his usefulness to Contessa Valentina Allegra de Fontaine, aka Val.
Don't call me that.
Speaking of Val, she re-emerges near the end of One World, One People to give Walker his new costume and a new name. Now that he's no longer the official Captain America, Walker is christened U.S. Agent and dons a predominantly black suit accented with red and white stripes. For those familiar with Walker's history in the pages of Marvel Comics, this change was a long time coming. Walker's first comic book appearance as U.S. Agent occurred in 1989's Captain America number 354. The ending of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier Episode 6 neatly ties up a number of dangling threads. Bucky finally figures out a way to productively find closure for his time as the Winter Soldier. This is shown when he confronts his elderly friend Yori Nakajima and comes clean about being the cause of his son's murder. He then sends his book of names back to his therapist, thanking her for all she's done to help him. Meanwhile, Sam pays a visit to Isaiah Bradley and his grandson, Elijah, speaking with them about his position as the first Black Captain America recognized by the public. This leads Sam to take the two to the Smithsonian, where a wing of the Captain America exhibit has been added to honor Isaiah for his service and to ensure that the people know his story, one that was silenced for far too long. To wrap up the episode, Sam returns home with Bucky to enjoy a well-deserved cookout alongside his sister Sarah and the rest of the community. Amid the chatter, laughter, and indulgence, the two Avengers stand side by side and acknowledge their journey as the screen cuts to black. The text, Captain America and the Winter Soldier, appears, signifying a new era for Sam Wilson in the MCU, in which he'll lead the charge not as Falcon, but as Captain America. Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more Looper videos about the MCU are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.